everyone, my name is Chris Sarsky, and I'd like to just give you an overview of how to read the year at a glance samples that have been created for kindergarten to grade 3 in math. So first of all, when you get your document, you should have, before even launching into this one, gone through the numbered outcomes document, and then for each of your grade, whichever grade you're going to be doing, gone through the comparison video as well. So there's 3 documents, and this is the third of the 3, and they really do have to kind of come in order so that all of them make sense. They're all linked together. So numbered outcome would be the first one, and it's the same for all grades. Then you select the curriculum comparison document, watch that short video that goes with it, and download the document for your grade. And you will need the colors and contents that are within that to link to the third one. So if you haven't, you might want to pause this video, go back, and then start this one up again when you're ready. And for those of you who've already done that, let's just carry on. So the first thing that you will have in any one of the documents, and I'm going to do the kindergarten document parts of it to give you a walkthrough, but it doesn't matter whether you're 1, 2, or 3, it will be the same layout. So the first couple of pages that you will see behind the startup will be the front matter. And the front matter is consistently the same for kindergarten to grade 6. It's similar to our front matter that we have in our current documents, where we talk about strands, we talk about the different processes that occur in math, the philosophy, the mapping of map and topics onto one another. So this would be an important piece to read if you have not yet had a chance to do so. Just take that starting moment and read those short 2 pages before you launch into any outcomes. All right, behind the front matter, we will see a layout that looks very similar to this. And for those of you who might have had students working online in the last few years, where Edmonton Public had shared out modules and documents that we were able to use, and that was very kind of them to do so. I've actually used the template that they had sort of for their year as their year to glance was going. So I'm using a very familiar framework that they had, just sort of gutted the middle of it and made it relevant to the new curriculum at this point. So to read this, you will see the months going across the top. The color, you now know what that's all about. And right below that, you see the organizing idea. And this one spans directly from kindergarten to grade 6. And remember that the organizing idea identifies our idea, our major idea, in this case, number. Not strand anymore, it's an organizing idea, and the statement that's behind it. So below that, I see the numbered outcomes, not necessarily in order, but the numbered outcome is stated, and then the bulleted part below that is the understanding that is from that particular learning outcome. Now remember, with the decimals, that means that there's a number of rows of understandings that fit with a learner outcome. So I see the learner outcome just gets repeated, but the understandings change. So that's how this document was put together. We didn't put all the knowledge and skills and processes in because it just got to be too long. And you've already downloaded the numbered outcomes, so you have those in your possession. So the next piece that we need to know is underneath each of these sections. So here I have my pink section, which is number. I see that there are 3 outcomes that teachers have identified they would likely start in September with. And your outcome says children investigate quantities to 10. So the question is, are you just going to jump straight to 10? Or are you actually going to probably scaffold their learning and see where they're at, check for mastery? And so most teachers said, well, I would probably go to 5 to begin with. And so when I say most teachers, we have a number of different boards that we are working with when we created this. And they've had input and moved things around and made suggestions, and they're all at the same grade level. So it was good feedback. Teachers have been working in that grade for a long time. And so what they said is we probably wouldn't start at 10, we start at 5. And so what you're seeing in yellow is what teachers have identified as the starting points and the focal points for that particular month. And you see that, especially in kindergarten, that I'm doing it more than once because it takes a while, and you're also always revisiting using it in a different activity for mastery. So it doesn't mean that everything changes every month. That's certainly not going to happen in kindergarten to grade 3. We're going to be working on pieces that we always are revisiting and retooling and learning higher levels to get them to mastery. So these are your goals for each month. And as you go through, you also see notes like this where teachers said in October, many teachers said we would actually start it right in September. Subitizing would start right away, because the stronger they are in subitizing, the better they are in their facts as they move forward. So this should be something that goes on all year. It would stay here and just carries forward. You would just continuously work on that. We see that down below too, that there's no color here, just a statement. And there was a big debate among grade 1 teacher or kindergarten teachers about whether patterns should really start at the beginning of the year. Many of them said, I do it right away. Many said, actually don't do it until they know a little bit more about numbers and counting. So again, this is not a prescriptive document. We're not saying that this is the only plan that you could follow. We're saying this is a sample. And if you are a teacher who wants to do patterns right up front, then please feel free to do so. This is just a suggested sample, and we're using this sample to guide PD, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But what you did see that in November, they were saying, well, patterns would kind of come in at that point. We could start building on that, and we would work on copying, extending, and creating. So they're starting to initiate some of those thinking over here, grabbing those teachable moments where it's appropriate, maybe using the money all the way through so that children are familiar with money, but also you could use that for patterning. In September, October, November, we also see that there's green coming up, and that is time. And so in time, they said, this is one of those organizing ideas that we would absolutely, the idea of time would be started on day 1, and it would go all the way through the year every day. That would be carpet time, calendar time, all of those pieces that you do on a daily routine basis all become part of time. And so they said it may be a new idea in our grade, but it's not a new activity because we actually do that already. And also they said we would probably start on geometry. So there'd be a little bit of work on shapes, talking about how you could link that even to numbers, focusing on 2D to start with. And so the shapes, what kinds of shapes they even know and what they're familiar with, and just some introductory pieces. And you see that same thing is carrying on right through November. So at no time are we just finishing a single outcome in 1 month. You're always revisiting, always checking for mastery, learning to progress, and then move forward. And that takes care of the first 3 months. And then you see we're already moving into December to March. So I'm not going to go through this. The routine is the same. It's always laid out identically the same way. The reason that we are sort of pointing out that it would be only, let's say, September, October that we would be focusing on is that some groups that we are working with and around the province, it's going to be a little bit different in each of your areas. But we're working with 2 months at a time. So we're planning for the lessons, the assessments, any resources we need. Maybe sometimes we have good discussions about what the outcome's really asking of us so that we're clear and everybody's on the same page. So this is how the year sample goes through. Remember, again, it's not prescriptive. It's a sample. It's for somebody maybe who's never done it before, or maybe you're looking for some strategies for bridging, and that is offered within the document. So hopefully that gives you a good guide. When you go through now, you can download the document. The first 2 documents that you downloaded are on 11 by 17 and should be in color. And this third one you can just download on 8.5 by 11. And I would do them always, all of them back to back. This one needs to be in color as well, so you can match it with your middle document. Thank you very much, everyone, and I hope that helps.